Hey. Good morning, everybody. Starting transformations. Right, the notes were sent on the 22nd, I believe it was. Right, a transformation is a change in position of an object. There are about 6 types of transformations, namely translation, reflection, rotation, enlargement, shear, and stretch. We don't deal with shear and stretch in our syllabus, so we're really going to deal with rotation, reflections, translations, and dilations. A dilation is an enlargement or shrink, right? So these are the rules that you have to learn. And this is based on a graph. So if I was to open a graph page, right? And we have a graph. You know, this is the x-axis. You know, this is the y-axis, right? And the reflection in the x-axis. Where's the x-axis? This is the x-axis here, right? So if you have a shape, and we want to reflect in the x-axis, according to the rules, we'll keep the x and change the y to a negative. So let's put values to this. This will be 2, 4, 6, 8, here 0, -2, -4, -6, 2, 4, 6, 8, -2, -4, -6, -8. Right? So let's deal with reflections first. Rules for reflections. Sorry, reflection, sorry, that's not an R. So if the object, right, has points X and Y, the image would have points X, -Y. So that's the rule, right? So what does that mean? So if this red line is the x-axis, this point here, let's call them A, B, and C. A, B, and C. The point A is 2 on the x and 3 on the y. So the image will put a negative sign in front of the 3. So where would that be on the graph? So it'll be 2 on the x and a -3. So that's here. That blue not showing properly. Let me use a different color. Try dark green. So the image of A will be here. B is 8 and 3. So the image of B will keep the 8 and make the y term negative. So it will be here. And you put a line to show that that's the image. And C is 2 on the x and 7 on the y. So we will keep the +2 and change the 7 to a negative. So that'll be down here. And if you were to connect the lines, you would see that we reflected in the x-axis, right? So this point here, sorry, it's green. This point here will be 2. Let me change that color. 2, and -3. Here's 8 and -3. And here's 2 and -7. So without even drawing the diagram, if you know A was 2 and 8, the image of A will be, according to the law, in the wrong spot. According to the law, right? 2, and we changing the y by putting a negative. So 2 and -8, right? Same thing will go for B. If B was 8, sorry, put the wrong values here. This has to be 3. 3, 2 and 3. So put a negative sign for the 3, so the -3. 8 and 3, the image of B under reflection in the x-axis would be, I can real start to do 3. We just change the negative on the y value. So the image B would be 8 and -3. And that's what we're getting, right? And the last one, for C, the point was 2 and 7. So the image will be 2, and you just put a negative sign in front of the 7 to get -7, right? And that's what we see in here. So that's the rule for reflection on the x-axis. What about the rule for reflection on the y-axis? So the rule for reflection in the y-axis, let me highlight that. Right. So if the object has x and y terms, the reflection in the y-axis, the image would have -x and the same y term. So if I was to use the y-axis, which is this here, the purple line here, can you all see the purple line? Or is it too light?
Say too light.
Yellow,
So go
Yes,
back
the
to
yellow
purple.
button.
green, light blue, no, dark blue, no, brown,
Dark blue.
red.
Yeah, red, so keep red.
I use the orange because I don't want to mix it up, right?
Okay, so
I'd use orange, right? So yeah. So the y-axis is the orange line. So if it was to reflect the same triangle using the rule, if A was 2 and 3, the image of A, and since this is the second image, you put the second dash, right? You all understand that? So the first image will have 1, the second image will have 2, the third image will have 3. Make sense?
you can repeat what you said.
Okay, so this dash you are writing, right? So if you see in the first image, I put a dash by the A, a dash by the B, a dash by the C, right? That represents the first image. That's the ones in green here. This one now, since it's the second time we're doing an image of the same object, the object will be ABC, right? Since it's the second time we're doing an image, we put a double dash, right? And the rule is, you put a negative sign in front of the x, so you put a negative sign in front of the 2, and then keep the value 3. So you'll have A double prime, or the image of A, will be -2 and 3. So let's plot it on the graph. So -2 on the x and 3 on the y. So that'll be A double prime. B now is 8 and 3. So the image of B on the second reflection, so you put the second with 2 dashes. You put a negative sign in front of the 8 and then put the 3. So it's -8 and 3. So we come in here, -8 will be quite here. So -8 and 3, that's here. So this is B double prime. And let's zoom out a little bit. Right. And for C now, C was 2 and 7. So the image under the rule, we put a negative sign in front of the 2 and keep the 7. So the C double prime will be -2 and 7. So we come in here on the graph, -2 on the x and 7 on the y. So that's up here. So this is the image there. And let me zoom in a little bit for you all to see the triangle. Right? So reflected in the y-axis. Right? So I'm giving you all some time to take it down. I want to reflect in the origin.
Take a scroll down a
So
little.
you're posting this video?
You want me to post it? There's no problem to post it.
Yeah.
I'll post it after, yeah. Scroll down a little bit. That's what somebody say.
Yes, sir.
Right, and this is the rule for reflection in the x-axis. So remember these rules, you have to remember individually, yeah? So you did reflection in the x-axis, you did reflection in the y-axis. The next one you have to do is a reflection in the line y equals to x. There's actually the fourth one. Right? And then a reflection in the line about the origin, or as the center. Right?
So what's the name of the entire topic?
Okay, so the entire topic is transformations,
Okay.
right? But we started with reflections first, right?
Okay.
Those of you who come in late, that's a good question. So the topic is transformations. The notes were sent on the 22nd of last month on Google Classroom under geometry, and then some will be sent tomorrow. Whatever we didn't finish will be sent tomorrow. Um, you also writing?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right, cool. What is the stick on top here? All right, so I just draw back the graph that we had before, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, x, y, -2, here's your origin, -4, -6, -8, -2, -4. Anybody can tell me what's the scale, by the way? Anybody knows the scale for this graph? Every 2 dashes or every 2 centimeters is 2 units, right? On the x, and every 2 dashes is 2 units on the y, so it's the same thing, right? Now, we're going to do something called a reflection in the line x equal, sorry, put in the wrong spot. X equal to y, right? Now, what does that mean? If we watch the graph and we were to draw a line where x is equal to y, so the x value is -4, the y value will be -4, that'll be here. If the x value is -8, the y value will be -8, that's here. If the x value is 2, the y value will be 2, right? And so on and so forth. And if we were to draw a line, right, you'll see that this line is x equal to y. I'll change the color of the line. This line is x is equal to y, right? So if we have a diagram, and it doesn't have to be a right angle triangle, it could be anything. Right? And they call it points P, Q, R. Excuse me, class. Hello. Here is na in our class. Let me call you back now. Yeah. All right. So what's the position at the point P?
-6,
No.
1.
Here. It's between -4 and -6.
Oh, sorry, I was watching the letter.
-5.
-5 and 1.
1, good. And Q.
-3 and 1.
And 1, good. And R.
6
No.
and
Can you read
no,
the X's?
-4 and 6
-4, good. And 6,
and
right?
6.
Now the rule is for reflection in the y equal x equal to y, right? is that all right, before I forget, the object, right, it was given an x and y value, right? You just the image, you replace where the x and the y value is, right? So without even watching the diagram, right? If p is negative 5, 1, the image of p under the reflection would be 1, negative 5. Let us replace the values, right? If q was negative 3, 1, the image of q will be 1, negative 3. Let's switch the values. And r was negative 4, 6. The image of r would be 6, negative 4. So let's come and plot it on the graph. Right? Better be a little closer on that. Alright, so the first point, 1 and negative 5. Where's 1 and negative 5? 1 will be here, and negative 5 will be down here. Right? So we'll call that P prime, P image, right? P1. Q is 1 and negative 3. So again, 1 is here, negative 3 is here. Right? So Q prime. And R now is 6 and negative 4. 6 is here on the X, and then negative 4. Right, so this is R. And then we draw the lines. Right, so that will be the image under the reflection of this line. Right? So take that down before I go on to the next one. You have to draw the diagrams on here, by the way. While you're writing that, let me do Kisha here, Yola not here, Donnie not here, Brian not here, Kiana, Jennifer, Brianna Gani not here, Naomi not here, Ariane not here, Kiasha, Joanna, Chelsea is not here, Daryl not here, Kevian, Kelly, why you not doing roll on the morning?
So where is it?
Why you not doing the roll on the morning?
So I just wake up late.
Oh Lord. Tyrese. Strong.
My name already, sir?
Yeah, you pay your present, don't worry.
Yeah. My God,
Right, anybody still writing this?
No, so I finished.
All right. So the last one is a reflection around the origin, right? And the origin is 0, 0. For those of you who don't know, the center here is the origin. So it's a reflection about the center of the graph. And the rule is the image, sorry, the object, if they have the points X and Y, the image would have negative X, negative Y. So we're reflecting about this point here. I draw any shape. Call it A, B, C, D. The coordinates of A, B, C, and D. What's the coordinates at the point A? Anybody?
-8 and 3.
Negative
Positive
8
3.
and 3, very good. And what's the points B?
-3 and 3.
Right. And C now.
-3 and 6.
Good.
And -8 and 6.
Good. All right. So we have 4 points to reflect. So the first point A was -8 and 3. B was -3 and 3. C was -3 and 6. And D was -8 and 6, right? So that's the points. So under the rule, the image, right, we'll put a negative sign in front of the -8 and a negative sign in front of the 3 to get +8 and -3. B, we put a negative sign in front of the -3 and a negative sign in front of the +3 to get a negative and negative is a positive, so +3, -3. C, the image would be, again, put a negative sign in front of the values. You'll get +3, -6. And the image of D, so a negative in front of the negative sign, negative in front of the 6. So +8 and -6. So let's go and plot these points. So the first point is positive 8 and negative 3. So positive 8 is here, and negative 3 is down here. So this will be A prime. B is positive 3 and negative 3. So that's here, so B prime. C is positive 3 and negative 6. So that's here, C prime. And D is 8 and negative 6, which is here. Right? And let's draw the diagram. Right, so that's what you're gonna get. So that's a reflection about the origin. And this is rule here.
So we have notes about this.
Yeah, I sent this already. I call it. This is like a shortcut for the notes here. See this here, these transformation rules, right? It's like a shortcut. But when you come down and you can read them, like this one is translation. We didn't do that one as yet. Rotation, it have the rules, the notes. A reflection is a way of transforming a point, line, shape, just as on a plane mirror. Right? Properties of reflection, the distance from the object to the mirror line is equal. The size and the shape remains unchanged. The orientation of the object changes. So meaning that will change direction, right? And then it have the different part side, but I give you the rules here for it already in this diagram. Or if you want, you could use this one, right? But this one here, this diagram here, transformation rules, is the best one you could use. So this is where
So the notes, so in the notes, there's no exercise to practice and do.
Yeah, down here. Each thing have questions.
Oh, okay.
Right? And then to the very end, it have a couple past paper questions. All right, when you finish, write this. That's it for today. So you finish rotation, sorry, reflection, right? That's your 4 rules for reflection. Next day, we're gonna do translation, right? And then
Gotcha.
rotation, and then.
Well, you'll post the video, so.
All right, no problem. Anybody still writing?
So, but say, because zoom in a little.
Yeah. Where am I to zoom in on the writing?
On the right hand.
That should be there. Everybody's seen everything. You're not finished, right? You can leave.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
So when you finish, you can leave.
Yes, you can.
Hi, till later.